Story time. This is my crazy Los Angeles story. Alright, so as you guys know, I was in California for about a year. When I was in California, I spent about 6 months, I guess it was more than 6 months, 8 months? 8 months in Silicon Valley total. But I spent 4 months in Los Angeles. So while I was in Los Angeles, I I stayed in some hotels, but they were really expensive. So the cheapest thing I could find was hostels and Airbnb. I recommend both, but hostels were really unique because you get people from all around the world. They're all coming to these hostels, and a lot of them are up and coming stars. So that was like a really interesting way to like meet people and stuff. Um, so I had stayed in this hostel for I'd say at least a couple weeks, and I was on Instagram, social media. I was posting all these pictures and whatnot, and I remember I actually went out to California because I was inspired by the Han Solo movie. I don't know if all right. So for all you Star Wars fans out there, I grew up on Star Wars too, and so when this new Han Solo movie came out, I was really inspired by it. Why was I inspired by it? In the trailer, it describes this guy as like a driver and a flyer. So I loved cars, race cars, and I always knew that I wanted to get out of South Carolina. And I think the trailer really described my point of view of South Carolina anyway. There's nothing going on there. It's a small state. It's really industrial, but for the most part, it's like a military complex state. They got like Fort Jackson. For the most part, there's nothing to do really to make money unless you join the military. You could also run a small business there, but for the most part, that's really political also. And it's just not easy to generate income there. Tech isn't really a big thing there. The only thing they really do for fun is like USC football or like go on the lake or the river. So for the most part, it's like just military. Like you have Fort Jackson, you have the Air Force Base, and you have like Parris Island and stuff down in South Carolina. So I viewed my trip to California as like me really escaping that sort of culture and going to this sort of like promised land, at least in my mind, because I'm thinking, well, there's Silicon Valley, there's Hollywood, there are all these things, and I was like, this is gonna be really fun. So I remembered like the Venom movie was coming out also, and I really liked that character. I liked like what he represented. I liked what he represented because like he was broke. I had recently like just broken up with my ex. I didn't really have a lot going for me, but I was like, I'm gonna go out here and make something of myself. So I was like, well, I know I don't really have a lot happening right now, but eventually I'll make up for it. So I really identified with this character in this film. So I posted it to my Instagram, and here's where the story gets crazy. So keep in mind, I'm in this hostel, and I have this picture on my Instagram of this Venom film. And what happens is that there's this girl who she spends the night in the hostel, and everyone's hanging out. Like we're all in the common area, we're talking and stuff. We're all sharing information with each other and having a good time. But this one girl, I never really spoke to her. But the next morning, she came and she tugged on me and she said, can I talk to you in private? I said, okay, sure. So we start talking in private, and she's like, she says, this is what she says. She says, you are like superhero, and I was like, uh, I said, what do you want? What is it that you need from me? Because if she's asking me that, the obvious answer to that is no. But she seems like she's in distress. Like she wanted to get my attention for something. So I said, what is it? She won't answer. She is gravitating her like body towards me in a seductive manner. And when I say that, I mean like she's exaggerating like her waist and like hips and stuff towards me, not answering me, putting her backside towards me and trying to like put it up against me. And I'm like, what do you want? So she says like she said I have no money. And I said, okay, so what do you want? No answer. And she just said, you will help me pay for a night? And I said, no, I can't do that. And she said, oh, she said, I can just stay with you. And so this girl is like trying to seduce me or whatever. And there are multiple red flags here. Number one, why would she say like, oh, you were a superhero? Like I hadn't spoken two words to this girl the whole time. This girl knew who I was before I knew who she was. So that's a red flag for me. Um, this is one of the craziest stories that's happened while I was in LA. I think that this girl was like placed there. I think she was like a prostitute, honestly. Um, just based on like my interaction with her and what she like her behavior. But it was concerning to me because like she sought me out. Like it was a targeting thing. Like she knew who I was and she was like, yeah, you, like, can you help me? And she said, you're special or whatever. So that was concerning to me because I was like, usually like you have to seek out a prostitute, but this particular girl was really aggressive and persistent in getting me and like trying to seduce me, number one, and trying to get me to help her. So she told me, she said, long story short, I was like, you this was a pretty liberal hostel. So sex was kind of endorsed in this hostel. There were co-ed rooms and stuff, but it wasn't a there was no prostitution in the hostel. It it wasn't a brothel or anything like that. And even like the host, he said, she can't stay with you. She has to pay for a room. So I said, all right. So she says, I need food. And she said, well, you take me to get food. So I said, okay, sure. And she is like, she pretty much says like, I want sex. She was like, I want to have sex. So this is weird for me because like I'm in LA. I'm surrounded by beautiful women. She's no different. And she's trying to use sex to like get what she wants, but it's not even really what she wants. Um, it's like a situation where, I say like, okay, I'll go to take you to get you food, and we can have sex or whatever. But what ended up happening was that I had to end up, she, after everything was said and done, me and her did end up having sex, and we did end up getting food. The initial deal was that she was going to pay for both of our meals, and I would just get her food and then take her back. But what ended up happening is that she took out her wallet and said, "Okay, I have no money whatsoever." She had multiple cards, whether it be credit cards or debit cards. She said, "I have no money." So I said, "Okay, don't worry about it. I can like pay for a burger real quick. It's no problem." After that, she says, "You have to take me to San Francisco." I'm in LA. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm in the middle of Los Angeles, Santa Monica by LAX. And she says, "Drive me to San Francisco." For people that haven't been to California, haven't been to LA, San Francisco is at least 6 hours away from Los Angeles. And she says, "Yes, drive me to San Francisco." I'm like, you are out of your mind. I mean, it takes a full tank of gas just to get from one side of LA to the other side of LA. And she's saying, "Take me to San Francisco." I'm like, this girl is crazy, especially like with gas prices in California. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I tell her no. I say, you got to get out. You gotta figure this out on your own. If you're not going back to the hostel, you gotta. Because she's saying like, she says I have other friends, like I have other boyfriends and stuff in the area. So I said, all right, call one of them. I can't take you to LA. So she's getting mad, she's getting pouty, and she's like, no, she's like, take me to San Francisco. And I'm like, no, you gotta go. So she says, okay. Now I'm parked at this burger joint, this fast food restaurant, and there's a what appears to be a homeless guy living out of his car. I was in a similar situation, but this guy was in like an older car. It's like a Saab, like an old Saab, like a 1990s Saab, something like that. I'm in this Camaro. For those of you that don't know, the fifth generation Camaro has these. It's got these doors on it where they have I forget what they call it. They call it some type of protection, but all it is that the door, it's like door ding protection. But in actuality, all it is that if your door hits a car door, then it's got like this point on it, so it only dings the other car's door, it doesn't ding yours. Um, it's like shaped in like an arrow. So if I open the Camaro door, it'll go like that, and it'll poke like right there. So she opens the door, and it just dings the fuck out of this guy's door. And this guy's like, he's reclined back in his chair, and he's like, what was that? And she says, I'm sorry. And he says, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I said, why did you do that? So she closes the door. She closes the Camaro door. And I said, all right, please don't do that again. You gotta get out. So she opens the door again, and she slams the car door into this other guy's door even harder. And this time, this guy gets up and is like, "What the fuck?" And he's getting all mad. He's like, "What?" He's like, "What are you doing?" And he gets out of his car. At this point, we're all out of the car. I get out of the car. She gets out of the car. And she's like, "Oh, oh no." And literally just like that. Like she's acting like, she's like, "What am I going to do?" She's playing like damsel in distress. And this guy's like, "Who's going to pay for this?" She says, he's yelling at her, and he's like, "Who?" She says, "Who's going to pay for this?" He's like, is your boyfriend going to pay for this?" And I'm honestly upset with her too, because I'm like, you ding this guy's car door, and what are you doing? Like, she's told me she wants me to take her to San Francisco. I don't want to take her to San Francisco. She's using sex to try and get what she wants. And the whole situation is just like really uncomfortable for me. I mean, so this guy says, "I need to see your license." So I said, "All right, you can take my license." And he says, "All right." So he's adamant about this. He's like, "Who's gonna pay for this?" And he says, "I'm gonna call the police." So I said, "No, don't worry about it. I'll call the police." So I call the police, and this guy gets scared, and he leaves. The police show up, and this is my first encounter with LAPD. First and only encounter with LAPD. LAPD immediately treat me like the suspect, and they're like, "Both of you get on the curb." And they're taking her side of the story. They're taking my side of the story. She's on the phone with some guy. How do I know it's a guy? I can hear the guy's voice, and he says, she says, "It's not going good. It's a disaster." And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, that's probably like her pimp. And like, here I am, completely befuddled, falling for it. And the police officer is like, "So you bought a burger for her to have sex?" And I'm like, "No, officer, actually, she agreed to buy the burger." Well, I did end up buying the burger, but it was like a whole big thing, because he's like, "Did you pay her?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't pay her." So all this is going on, and in the meantime, she's like, "He used me as sex machine," and I'm like, "I did not." And at the time, I'm thinking about this. I think I may still have the recording. I had a recording on my phone. I got her permission to record the activity. So so I recorded it from start to finish, so that people would know it was consensual, the whole act and everything. And the police were like, "Oh no, we don't need to see that," or whatever. And I was like, "All right." So long story short, the police let me go. But this LA story was really crazy to me, because this girl sought me out, tried to seduce me, had sex with me, told me to take her to San Francisco, and then she almost got me arrested in the middle of downtown LA when I'm out of towner. How crazy is that? The whole time I was in LA, everything else was perfectly fine. Everything went just dandy. But that one time, actually, that was not my only encounter with the LAPD. There were others as well, but that was the most extreme situation. I think there was one more encounter that I had, but I wanted to share this story because for some reason my luck has been terrible. My luck has been terrible with women. My luck has been terrible with money. My luck has been terrible just in life in general. I don't know what it is, but ever since 2016, all this crazy stuff has gone on. I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm sheltered and can't handle life, or I don't know if it's the fact, I don't know what it is, but this was a crazy story. I want to transition now into crazy story number 2 in LA. All right. So I was in LA. I had been checking in and out of different hostels and hotels. I was jumping on to job sites, searching for jobs and stuff. And I had a Tinder. So I would get on Tinder from time to time. And I remember I was swiping through Tinder and I matched with a couple people that I was interested in, but there was this one match that really bothered me. At the time, I was getting a lot of calls from guys that I didn't know saying that they wanted to hang out, and I was suspicious because I thought they were gay guys. So I was getting really upset about this. Anyway, so I was on Tinder, and there's this one profile that's a woman. It's a 20. Is a woman in her early 20s. That was what the profile was, and it said, "Hey, can we hang out?" So I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "What's your phone number?" So this is in the middle of downtown LA. This profile, this girl, gives me the phone number, and it's an 803 phone number, which is a South Carolina phone number. That's where I'm from. So I had this app on my phone that was able to search the number. So I searched the phone number, and this profile, it's a girl again, early 20, the girl in her early 20s, and she's saying, I want to hang out. I want to hang out with you, and it's like, so I searched. I said, who is this? Because there was something that was just off about it. And I had searched the phone number. Turns out it was a guy from South Carolina, like a small business owner who was actually behind the cell phone number of this profile. And this guy, this grown man, he's like a middle-aged man, black guy. He's pretending to be like this girl in her early 20s trying to hook up with a guy like me. And he's asking me to send him pictures of me as this young girl. And I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, this has never happened to me before in my life. Like, what are the odds that this would happen? So I contact like my parents and all these people, and they're like, oh, that's normal. That's totally normal. That was just like they were just like, just move on. And I was like, that's not okay. I was like, what if I did end up sending him pictures? Like that's crazy. Anyway, they this guy got away with it, but I was traumatized and I was upset. I was very upset. Um, but those are my two crazy LA stories. My two very negative LA stories. Just my luck. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think on how I can improve, how I can get out of this place, this crazy place that I'm in. I don't know why I'm in this crazy place, but I am. Let me know what you guys think about the experiences that I've had, how I can improve, how I can stay out of situations like this in the future. Make sure to drop a like, comment, subscribe. All right. Good night.